So I thank you, lovely women who have come to have the conversation with me for the Black Mixtapes. This is Shona Tucker. I am an actress, a writer, and a full professor at Vassar College. I happen to be chair of the drama department. And each person, if you will introduce yourself, we have three of us on camera and one of us who is present but not visual. So if Naisha, you will go next.
Hello, my name is Naisha Gibbs, and I am the mother of four sons, um, wife to my husband Robert, and I am a manager at a local nonprofit, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Ava?
Hi, thank you, Shona. My name is Eva Woods Beto, and I am a mother of a son who's 14 years old, and I teach at Vassar College with Shona Tucker. And I also work in concert with an organization that fights racism in the school district. And it is a Black female-led organization, and I'm very proud to be a member of its organizing group.
Yes, it's called On Par, which is Arlington Partners Against Racism. And we are the core four. And the fourth one is Tanisha Means.
Hello. I am also excited to be here. I am a mother of two, both in one in elementary school and the other in middle school. I'm also a professor at Vassar College along with Shona and Eva. I'm in the Department of Political Science as well as the Multidisciplinary Africana Studies program. That's about it.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's what we need. So we are here today to just ask some questions and answer some questions for this mixtape. And one of the main questions is, who am I in 2021? After we've gone through a presidency like no other presidency we've ever had, after we've gone through and are still going through a pandemic, after we've had a social pandemic with the uprising from the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and several others. Who am I in 2021? Anybody want to take that?
Well, I will start. This is Naisha, and I feel like I am resilient. I feel like I am more confident. I feel like I am more empowered, and all of that is due to everything that Shona expressed. I think we were kind of trudging along prior to the pandemic, prior to the insurgents in the White House, and at the Capitol, and prior to George Floyd. But now there's just this awareness now within our community that has really motivated me more and given me more drive to say that enough is enough regarding racism and inequities and the macro aggressions that occur within the other races toward us. So all of those adjectives I feel describe who I am and how I feel, and also just making sure that my four Black young men are educated, strong, empowered, confident, encouraged, and not walking in fear in this world.
Wonderful, wonderfully stated. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
I would just follow up and say for me, who am I in this moment? It's interesting because in our introductions, I think all of us started with our motherly role. And for me, that is really significant. I'm not sure if you had asked me a year ago, or maybe not a year ago, but 2 years ago, who I am, I don't think that I would have started there. And there's a way that this pandemic and the reckoning that has been happening in the country for the reasons that you noted, um, caused me to have a reckoning within myself. There's a way that I have rethought the roles that I play, the ones that are most significant to me, the ones that most align with my values, and the ones that are misaligned, and how in the recent year I've tried to clear way to hone in and center the roles that are most significant. And so I agree with Naisha when she describes sort of who she is in the moment, and really the work that we have to do in terms of our children, like this next generation. And our children, I'm thinking broadly beyond just the two that I gave birth to, but so many children that we mother, including our students, including, you know, the adults that I interact with. I feel like as a woman of color, women of color have always been mothering this nation, mothering grown people, mothering institutions. And so I think for me, like that is part of my work. But for me, it's also always questioning from this moment forward, really, is how does this align with my purpose? And if it's not, then how can I get rid of it?
Ooh, preach, preach. Yes. Ava, talk to me.
Thank you. Thank you, Naisha and Tanisha. That's really inspiring. And I also want to say that my identity as a mother is central. And I think that what I realized the most during the pandemic was that if I could not heal myself in many of the ways that I needed to heal, then I could not help my son to do any kind of potential healing that he might need to do in his life's journey, or help my friends and the people in my community to do the kind of healing that they needed to do, because we are all on this journey and we're healing from white supremacy, however we've internalized that, and neoliberal greed and capitalist exploitation. And those are really big words, but I think they play out on a real micro level in our everyday, the ways in which we get exhausted from work and we let work take over our lives. And then we're not spending time with the people that need us the most in our families or in our communities. And so I think that being on that, I think that also a journey that I had embarked on many years ago, um, because intellectually it made sense. And then I had a son who was biracial. It was an anti-racist journey, but I realized over the pandemic that that anti-racist fight that I want to be involved in is I have to do the internal work of healing, and before I can really be fully present. So even though I'm still in it and I'm going, I'm really making a concerted effort to take better care of myself so that I can take better care of others. And yeah, I guess I've been thinking a lot about the destruction of nature and the planet recently too, and how that's all tied into racism and white supremacy and greed, and how it's just so easy to be a part of that destruction. um, and anyway, thank you.
Yes, this is, you all are so, you're so smart and eloquent, and I thank you for what you're saying. I know my role as a mother has been my guiding uh, light and my guiding principle. I know that I have learned so much. My son teaches me so much on a daily basis, and watching how he handles the pandemic and handles the way in which he connects and doesn't quite connect in some ways with others influences how my choices and what I do, as much as I think I influence him. And I think it is very much a reciprocal thing. Who am I after 2020 and going forward? Well, I know I'm tired. That's who I am. I'm a tired person, but I'm getting better. And this is what has encouraged me this summer. I've recognized in a way that I hadn't recognized prior to the pandemic. I know that I work hard. I have spokes in many, the wheels in many different ways and places. I know that it is too much. But the pandemic really hit me to say, okay, it's too much. And so it is, as Tanisha was saying, I am having to consciously, constantly pare down. I know that I've gotten in the pandemic, gotten so far and too far, because at a certain point, I think I've said this to you all, I feel like for a while, anybody who said my name, I'd go, what, as if I forgot something, I didn't do something, where's that something, what was it, oh my God. And true to that, there's several times I got a text saying, hope you're well, we sure missed you. I was supposed to usher for church. Ah, all the way gone. Didn't even. Uh, those kinds of moments happen. And so now I am putting in practices and ways in which I just have to slow it down. And that word multitasking for me doesn't work. That's what I'm getting better at understanding. It means I am doing lots of things, but my focus isn't centered on one. And it is stronger when I'm more focused. So in that focus, there are several things that I have to keep, and it's the points in my vision. I have a job as a professor, as chair. I do have to keep that job because that maintains my living. I have a kid that is 16 and very much 16, and I have to keep all aspects of that 16-year-old in focus. I had, that of course there are organizations and families and friends, but all of those other things I have to keep, you know, what is my God center? Where am I centered in my spirituality? And what are my values? That's what I am working on. What are my values? And how do I stay in my integrity for those values? This time it moves very fast. And so we have about 5 more minutes, and that's really what we want to say. And in terms of what we have been doing as a group, I think is really great and important. In terms of those values that I'm speaking of, we have figured out a particular thing that is valuable to us, and that is focus on racism, uh, equity, diversity of many kinds within the school district, the Arlington Central School District of Dutchess County. I even keep that centered, though I've taken my son out of that district, because that is a value to me. Um, is there anything that you all want to say further about your values, about what we are working on? Has anything popped into anybody's head from what everybody has said?
For me, yeah, there was something that connected what you said to what Ava said in terms of like alignment in terms of values. And it also made me, in multitasking, but it made me think a lot about yoga, and think about yoga in the sense that And of course, thinking about like neoliberalism and capitalism and how it's constantly trying to push you to be more productive, um, and to not center your feelings or emotions or your relationships, but it's all about production. But I've been thinking a lot about yoga in the sense that, when you are in yoga, the idea is that you are trying to follow the yoga instructor, in terms of the pose, and you shouldn't push yourself to where you're uncomfortable, but you should push yourself, right? And you should try to approximate as much as possible whatever the yoga instructor is sort of doing. And what I've been thinking about, like values and aligning yourself, is really thinking about not the yoga instructor as someone else, but what if you centered yourself, your aspirational self, as the yoga instructor, and all of your actions that you are approximating are really in alignment with what you aspire to be, who you aspire to be, what you aspire to do, and not centering someone else's instruction. And so that's just, for me, one of the things that I keep going back to, is thinking about my everyday life, my everyday decisions, as not yet where I need them to be, but approximating it, but really centering like my eventual, like my goal self, my aspirational self, is really where I'm trying to align myself fully, in all that I do. Just like you said, Shona, right? Like, you have a job, you are in this parenting role, you're in this community role, and all of the roles that we choose to take on. I think that, that's one thing that I would say is important.
This is fabulous. This is one of those things I want to keep. I want to replay and listen to again and go, yes, this is fabulous. This is really, yes.
Yeah, I love what you said, Tanisha. You just hit the nail on the head. I totally feel you. I totally agree. And for me, I know it's definitely learning to, as Shona stated, focus on the one thing instead of being in so many different places and so many different arenas and putting my energy there and just becoming exhausted. So I've definitely learned to pare down and just kind of focus, and also learning to say no, and also knowing when my bandwidth has been stretched too far and I have to stop. And I allow myself to do that, because an email, a text message, it's not going to go anywhere. It'll still be there the next day. The world is not going to end. I've learned that, and I was not always that way. Everything had to be done
Mhm.
before I got to bed, and it was exhausting. And the pandemic has definitely shown me that it's still going to be there in the morning, and it's okay. It's okay.
This is great. This is really true. Um, you know, um, there are so many things that I want to work on. So many causes. There's so many really important and vital things, and I may work on them at some point. But at this point, I'm not doing that, and that's got to be okay. And that's something I've had a mantra this year that I don't have the necklace on right now, but I've worn a necklace for many moons that says, I am enough. Enough. It says enough. That's just the word. It says enough. And it really, I have used it and I shall continue to use it. That is my word for the year. I am doing enough. I am enough. I have had enough. This is enough. I am more than enough. Uh, those things I have to keep clear. Yes, Ava. Yes.
Thank you. Um, yes, to everything you all said, and so agree about the ways in which this culture just chips away at us, especially if we, you know, are not white men, I think. And so, going off of what you all said, and Tanisha, you were talking about centering, and I think meditation right now is really helping me see more clearly and in a more balanced way how to center and then when to decenter too, because for me, walking through most of my life is privileged person, a white woman, and so there is some balancing to that, and knowing how to leverage my privilege and in situations where I'm helping my sisters, my community, my child, his community, and is really critical. And so centering my needs in this work culture that we live in, and also trying to be strategic and more effective and more impactful in ways that will really um, effectuate change in the area of anti-racism and dismantling racism and racist structures. And and I think that again, it requires thoughtfulness and being really focused on um, having a center and a core, and having it in yourself, and then having it in your circle of friends, in your community. I mean, it's all sort of built upon itself, but and knowing how to make those decisions, right? So you're not finding yourself decentered. And for me, knowing when to decenter myself too, knowing how to operate in certain spaces so that I can uh, do the kind of work we all that will help us move forward together.
This is great. All right, and that's all that I want to take your time to do and talk about. I think I think these kind of moments, even for our work, we thank Regina Taylor for putting forth this kind of work. But for our own selves, it's good. It's really good to name it, to talk about it, to be clear what it is we really want to do. If as they say, without if you without a plan, you plan to fail. Is that how it goes? You fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you don't think about it, name it, talk about it, then it doesn't it doesn't happen for you in a conscious, forward way. Yeah, I don't know if yeah, I must say this. I have been reading during this time Brene Brown, so that phrase, "If you fail to plan, plan to fail," comes from her. So I don't want to act like it's mine. Okay. Thank you all. I will talk with you.
Thank you, Regina.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.